Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining Teams End User Training. This is going to be a one-on-one level overview of the Microsoft Teams client. I'm Dan Finn with Synergy Technical, and today I've spun up a Microsoft virtual machine with a fictitious company named Contoso that some of you may have heard of in the past. We're going to be logging in to this virtual machine as one of the personas named Patty Fernandez. So you see my virtual machine here. I've pinned Microsoft Teams to my desktop. I already have the application open, so we're going to go ahead and open that and walk through the general functionality here and maybe give you some tips and tricks that make your day easier as you embark on using Microsoft Teams. So Microsoft has created a tagline from the marketing side of the things called for Teams, where they're calling it the hub for teamwork. And I can't think of a much more fitting marketing slogan than that for Microsoft Teams. It really has become a location for the users to spend more of their time every day in a unified place that's pulling together the applications that we used to see as separate tools. So applications such as SharePoint, OneDrive for file storage and collaboration, and even Microsoft Outlook. And the native or what we're migrating from is Skype and the old link chat functionalities. All of that now lives within Microsoft Teams and gives us one common client tool to use to navigate those different technologies. So let's walk through what the client looks like, and then we'll jump into some of the features as well. So when we first open it up, we see on the left-hand banner here that I'm highlighted on Teams. So that is a function within Microsoft Teams, so not to be confused. But I'm currently a member of 5 different teams. You'll see the Mark 8 project team, our retail team, sales and marketing, digital initiative, public relations, and the greater Contoso team. And then underneath those different teams are what are called channels. So if I expand on any one of my teams, I'm assigned to a certain number of channels. It's going to be specific subjects or topics that I'll relay to the greater team. Across the top of the Microsoft Teams client are going to be some features that we should highlight. One is going to be the chat function. So this is where you can chat with individuals or create a chat with groups. The search bar, which I love, and we'll jump into some of the reasons why I love that a little bit later here today. And then the user settings. So again, I'm Patty Fernandez. So if I click on Patty's image today, you'll see this is where I'll change my picture, but most likely the things you're going to do within the settings here at the user level are going to be things such as your availability. So again, Outlook integration, right? The unified communications that we all came to know and love back in like Exchange server days, even as that integrated to Lync and then Skype for Business. This is going to pull directly from my calendar and notify anyone within my organization of my current available status. But let's say for the sake of this demonstration that I'm presenting my screen, right? So I want to go to Do Not Disturb. You'll see that notification drop down, reminding me that I'm Do Not Disturb and that I'm only going to be getting notifications for urgent messages from contacts that I've considered a priority. And I can change those settings at the user level as well. I'm ready to come off of Do Not Disturb, though, and be available for my team. I can click Available, or I can simply say Reset Status. So it's, again, going to read my calendar and see if I'm in a meeting, and it makes me available again. Another thing we've used is let people know where you are. Maybe you're in a large office complex. Maybe it's the time of coronavirus and you're working from home. Who would have thought? So we're just going to update everyone that we're working from home. I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina. So now anyone that sends me a chat or includes me on a team is going to see my status is working from home and I'm not necessarily in the office today. I can also go into settings and set more individual character type settings, the color and the darker the contrast that I want of the application. Mostly around this, what you'll see is devices that you're going to be plugging in. If you have a Bluetooth headset, you can define whether you're using that or your computer speakers, but notifications is where you're going to create that specific user environment for yourself. So what type of activity within your teams and chats and channels do you want to be sent notifications on? And you can even be sent emails based on specific folks mentioning you or specific teams mentioning you. So these are highly personalized settings that you can go through there. But once we get past the settings, let's jump into teams. So again, we talked about the 5 different teams that we're on with the various channels underneath. The first thing that we'll walk through is just simply creating a team. I'm on the 5 already, but let's say today I need to create a new team and include some of my team members on that team, because obviously I'm not doing solo work on this team here. So create a team is the button that I'm going to select is on the bottom of the teams and channels pane. I'm going to click join team and then create a team. One of the first options I'm given, whether you want to join a team or create a team that is a specific group of users that are already defined within your Office 365 environment. Let's say I know I want the entire sales team, the entire marketing team, and the entire accounting team on this team. I could go ahead and select them from Office 365 groups, but this is just going to be a subset of those users, so I want to build a team from scratch. What kind of team will this be? So you can have a public team or a private team. A public team is going to be anyone within your organization can discover the team and join it. A private team is going to request permission. So me as an owner, as a creator of this team, if another person within my organization wants to join that team, they're going to have to request permission to join, and I would have to accept that or deny it. This one's going to be public. We're going to be inclusive of all of our coworkers here. We'll just give it a simple name. Public team, join us to talk about stuff. Very formal. We're going to create that team. It's going to congratulate me on creating the team and then ask who's going to be on this team. So let's just add a few of the names I remember from our fictitious environment. We've got Nestor, Adele, and Megan. We are going to add them all to the team. And they come in as members. So I want to make sure that I'm not the only admin. Let's say I'm out sick and there need to be changes to the team. Nestor is going to be an owner of the team as well. We'll just promote him as we get started and we'll close out. And you'll see this team automatically joins that pane of the 5 other teams that I've already been on. And the general channel is automatically created. Across this general channel, you're going to have a few different tabs that come in under your default settings. One is going to be posts, and this you can think of as a persistent chat room. So this is going to be a chat that lives and dies with the team. You have the ability to share files through this chat. Stickers and emojis and GIFs are all fun things that you can do down at the bottom of the post channel. Working across those tabs are your files. So if you want to upload files, if you want to download files that are already shared, if you want to sync to a OneDrive account or outside storage, I'll show you some of those things later today. You can also create new files directly from here. And then the default setting in this environment was to create a wiki page as well, and that's going to be creating a notes page that we can refer back to. So let's say this is standard operating procedures that I need the general channel and the public team to be aware of. I can create those SOPs, and they're going to live here under the wiki page. Let's go back to the post and just create a couple posts and conversations. One of the things that I'm going to do within chat is say, here is where we can share pertinent information. To draw some eyes to that. But one thing you'll notice here is that I didn't mention anyone in particular, and I didn't call out a team. So if someone were to click on the general channel within public team, they'll see my message here. But how do we draw someone's attention to that? Let's click the @ button, and the @ is going to show us some of the suggestions. First few suggestions are going to be the people that we included on the team. That makes great sense. So Megan and Adele, I want to ask them if they feel they need admin permissions here. And one of the things you'll see is it pulls in my full name, or the full name of my coworkers, I should say. A lot of people like to say, hey, I want this to read a little more naturally. You can just hit backspace once on their name, and it'll just show their first name, but still tag them. You need ownership rights on this channel. Now, Megan and Adele are going to get notified that I asked them specifically a question. And they can come back in here and reply to that whenever they see that notification. Another thing I'd like to say is let's create something more than just the chat. I want to create an announcement. So let's say that there was a Microsoft licensing change. That never happens. But now this is just actually going to be a birthday post because we just created the team to celebrate a birthday. So I can create a big announcement for her. I can do all the standard Word functions that I would expect to do with my fonts. But let's create a few settings in here and cover why we might use these settings too. So when I first make this announcement, everyone can reply to it. Maybe that's okay because I have 4 people on this team, but maybe you're in a large organization and there's 1,000 people on this team. Do we really want to create an announcement that starts a group chat all within this headline? I'm not sure we do. So let's go ahead and say only myself and the other moderator. So in this scenario, myself and Nesters are the only ones that can reply on this announcement. If someone has a secondary conversation because of that announcement, they can start either a new thread or create a new post within the chat comments area. And then let's say this also should go to the entire company, the Contoso channel, right? So let's click on post in multiple channels. Within my small immediate team, I'm making this post for Megan, but I also want to post to the Contoso team. So I'll select multiple channels. We'll scroll down to Contoso, Contoso General. Where this may come in handy in a real life scenario, let's say you have a sales team and a marketing team. They both have their own teams with various channels underneath them. Some of your marketing folks are on the sales team. Other sales team members are on your marketing team within teams, but they don't need to be aware of everything that's going on within marketing, and marketing doesn't have to be aware of everything that's going on in sales. But for this announcement, let's say it is a co-branded effort between sales and marketing, which would be happening all the time, as opposed to posting in one channel and then having to copy that post into the other. I can simply tag both channels, hit send on this post. It's going to live obviously where I posted it, but then if I click on Contoso, in general, that exact same post was posted there. So saving me some time and effort. If I had broken apart my sales and marketing team into 2 different teams, I can post in both by just selecting to post in both channels. Another thing I can do here, let's say this public team is actually going to be a group project that we're inviting some guest access, so some users from outside of our organization. And we want to make sure that anything that's viewable by our guests has been approved by the entire team internally. One of the cleanest ways to do that is going to be to click on the 3 dots on the right-hand side of the team. You'll see there's a few options to hide the team if you're not using it currently. You can manage the team. That's where you're going to add members or view who's owners versus who is just a member or a guest. But we're going to add a channel. And this channel I want to call internal only, because that's going to be where we're sharing documents that are yet to be viewed by our guests. View docs and PowerPoints, and then instead of standard and accessible to everyone on the team, we want to make this private. So obviously, it's going to ask me who on the team do you need to be sharing with. Let's just add Nestor. Poor guy's going to be overworked. And I've created an internal only channel. So this channel is only going to include myself and Nestor. We're going to approve any documents before they get shared with the greater team, and then we can transfer those into the general channel of our public. Another way that we can post messages to this team would be directly from Outlook. You can actually send your emails to teams. So there's a couple different use cases for this. Let's say there's an attachment to that email that I want my sales and marketing team to see. Or let's say it was some customer feedback that was really positive, and I want the whole team to be aware of the great job that my team has done. I'm going to go into sales and marketing, and within the general channel, again, I'm going to click on the 3 dots on the right-hand side, and there's an option to get email address. Just by clicking on that, what Teams is going to do is it's going to show me the email address that's been created for this channel. I can choose to copy it. I'm going to go into Patty's Outlook client real fast. And much like you would expect, obviously we can put it in the to line. We could even CC that alias if we're sending it maybe directly to management, but we want it to show up in Teams as well. Go ahead and click send, and then we're going to see in just a couple seconds that Patty's email gets posted right to this persistent chat area within the sales and marketing channel. You can view that original email. If there had been an attachment to that email, that's also going to live within this persistent chat and be shareable through the files. Speaking of files, let's go ahead and click into the files area of our sales and marketing team. This is going to be where we can upload new files from any sort of external cloud storage or hopefully Microsoft OneDrive. We can download existing files from here. So if this is going to be all approved marketing content, I can go ahead and download files directly from here. But one of the nicest things, again, we're trying to limit the need for your users to go into various applications throughout their day and spend more of their time in one client and be a little more efficient. Let's just create a new document directly from Teams. So I can click on new. Drop down option gives me a couple different options. I'm just going to keep this simple with a Word document. I'm in sales and marketing, so let's call it new sales reports. And I'm going to click create, and notice that it keeps me within this Teams construct. I haven't left the application by any means, but Word has opened up within it. I'm creating a new document all of a sudden with all the features and functionalities that I would hope for, including co-authoring. So let's start a conversation, and we're going to, again, @mention so they get a notification. Megan and Nestor, my overworked buddy in this department, can you add the new sales numbers? Hit enter, and now I've created a conversation within that file. I'm going to close out the conversation and the document in the upper right-hand corner here. And you're going to see just a few seconds ago, Patty Fernandez has created new sales reports. And what's really cool is within these posts, that's also going to be where the notification lives. So if you remember, I @mentioned Megan and Nestor and asked them to add new sales numbers to that report. They're going to get notified within Teams. If they wanted to get emailed every time they got mentioned, they could do that. They're going to be able to click even on that link without even having to go to the Files tab, open up the document, and start making their changes. So we'll close out of here. That's a general overview of Teams and channels. There are some extra functions within here that we could talk about in like a 200 level course, but bringing in not necessarily third-party applications, that's totally doable as well. If you click the plus bar, you're going to see all the various different applications and tabs that you can add into your channels. They don't necessarily need to be Microsoft, but a lot of the standard ones are going to be, let's build in a form, a workflow form that kicks off a contract request process, and that can integrate into Dynamics CRM. We can do some list shares, pulling directly from a shared account. Maybe it's a OneDrive, maybe it's a SharePoint page. I believe under sales and marketing, we've even got a Power BI dashboard. So as opposed to making your salespeople go into a different application once again, I want to see my sales numbers right within Teams because I'm chatting with my management about it. I'm posting to the Teams channel within sales and marketing that we just won a new account. Let's see what those numbers look like because of it. These are all easily doable and customizable within your own application. So let's go into chat. We talked about chatting with some users. I'm going to click on the chat on the left-hand banner, and you're going to see some of the chats that I've already created within this demo tenant. Let's go ahead and start a new one. We talked about this new chat feature up top. Megan, Adele, and Nestor, I'm going to add a group chat here. To make sure they've seen the documentation and the new team I created. You see, as soon as I send that chat, we now have this persistent chat room that's going to live on. And this can apply to meetings as well, which is another cool capability. But not just the chat conversation we're having between the four of us, but any files we've shared as a group are all going to live in here as well. One thing I can do if I want this chat to be easily accessible is I can make sure to pin this chat. So that's going to show up almost as like a favorites contact in the old Skype for Business screens. You're going to have those show up at the top. Not just individuals and group chats, but again, meetings can be pinned. So if you have a standing weekly appointment or a daily appointment to check in with your team, you can pin that to your chat bar. And then any conversation is going to be easily accessible from here. So as you saw, I had a meeting earlier today and there was a little recording that was done, and that's all living within the chat functionality as well. I can go ahead and pin that too. Any of the files here are files that were shared in meetings, but any of the files within our chat app are going to be files that were just shared one-on-one. So not necessarily files that were posted to a channel, but files that were shared directly as part of the chat capability with that paperclip down at the bottom. Another cool thing that you can have built out is the organization. Maybe I'm not quite sure where Nestor sits within the organization, who reports to him, who his management is. Unfortunately, I'm his manager, which is probably why I'm assigning him all these tasks. But you can build out an organizational tab and see that pulling directly from most likely Active Directory there. So let's drop down to the calendar tab. I'm actually supposed to be in a meeting right now. It's an important status update, so I'll jump into that in a minute. But first, let's talk about scheduling meetings. So again, integration with third-party tools, right? This is pulling directly from my Outlook calendar. It's got a lot of the features and functionalities that you would expect to see, the different views, whether you want to look at your work week or your entire week or just the day. Those are all options that I could select. But I can also say meet now. Let's say I wanted to turn a chat into a quick meeting so we can jump on the phone. That option's there. I can also schedule a meeting, and I can schedule live events, which is, maybe I'm presenting to that public relations call. There's going to be 1,000 outside attendees on that call. That's a good use case for a Microsoft Live event. But we're just creating a new meeting. Again, the structure in this format is going to feel pretty comfortable if you've been using Outlook. All that functionality is just pulled right within Teams, and we can schedule meetings and calls now directly within here. So this was a public relations internal review. Boolean in this environment. Nope, I was wrong. See, stick to my initial team here. I'm going to schedule this for tomorrow. I can make sure this is tied to a specific channel within my environment. So this call, maybe if it's going to be repeating, I want all the notes to live within the public team. I better make it repeating, huh? We'll make it weekly. I do have a meeting here, important status update that I can launch and join into right away. So let's just go ahead and do that to show some of the meeting functionality. When I click launch, I'm going to be notified, if your camera's on. That's always nice, right? You'll actually see yourself in this black box where Patty's photo currently is. You'll see if your camera's on, it's going to give you a live camera feed. So hopefully get rid of those times where you logged in without knowing your camera was on. And then if you're coming in muted or unmuted, Teams has a nice functionality where anytime you're joining a call with 5 or more users already on the call, you're automatically going to be muted. So try to limit some of that background noise. Once we join the meeting, we don't have a microphone again because of this demo tenant, and that's fine. But you'll see the standard options that you would expect to see, some of those that we just reviewed before jumping into the call. You'll have the share capability to share your desktop, a specific window if you're using multiple monitors, or a specific application that's already open. And then also Whiteboard and Freehand. Whiteboard is a great application. I highly recommend downloading the full client, and you can share whiteboards then to Teams and specific meetings. There's a lot of capabilities within there. I'd be happy to expand on, again, maybe more as a 200 level class, but a great way to run effective meetings. I'm not going to share anything quite yet, but again, on the 3 dots are going to give us some more options in here. I can turn on live captions. On a full tenant, I'd be able to blur my background, and pretty soon you'll be able to select an image or a scenic background for your camera, so you're not showing your dog running around the kitchen floor or anything like that. And then also your recording options are going to be right here. So I've actually started the recording within my Synergy Technical Teams tenant, and that's where I'll go to stop the recording as well at the end of this demonstration. The 2 pieces you'll probably use the most, though, outside the mute button, are going to be the participants within this meeting. So this is going to be all the folks that you've invited are going to show as others invited. And then as they join, they'll either join as admins or attendees. A key point here is that once you have a few folks on the call, where I'm circling is showing nothing right now, but that will be a mute all button. That mute all button sort of hides a little bit, but it's a nice feature to know that if people are coming in unmuted for whatever reason, you have the ability to mute them all at once. Interestingly enough, they're the only ones that can unmute themselves. You can't unmute someone and force that, but you can mute them if they're getting feedback or background noise. And then on top of the participants panel, you can also have the conversation. So again, all the features we talked about through the conversation capability and the post channels, those apply to chat. They're going to stay persistent within any meeting you have within Microsoft Teams as well. So the next option down from calendar is going to be phone calls. A lot of people are familiar with these types of phone applications. To me, it mimics a lot of what you would expect on an iOS or an Android type phone. So you have people that live within your contacts. You can assign whether they're going to be on speed dial or not, so they sort of get pulled to the top as a favorite. You can create groups of people, so people can be assigned to your sales group or your marketing group. You have the ability to chat with them, spin up phone calls or FaceTime calls, right, if the camera's on. You'll have your history of all your calls here, and all your voicemails are going to live within Teams as well. This call tenant is only set up to make internal calls, so it's just allowing me to type names. But if you have external calling enabled, you'll see a keypad here to dial out. And then files is going to be a nice tool to view all of the files, maybe recently viewed files that I've been working on. Files that live within Microsoft Teams, files that I've downloaded most recently, or files that are synced and shared to Microsoft Teams. We're using the cloud storage of OneDrive, obviously, in this Microsoft tenant, but hey, maybe you're not on OneDrive quite yet. That's okay. We can have an offline discussion, but you're using Box or Google Drive. Teams is able to openly integrate to those third-party applications. You would just select the one you're using, sign in, and we can sync all those files right into Teams to be able to use them within this interface. So I've worked my way down. You probably noticed that the application that I skipped was Activity. Activity is pretty nice. You see an overall feed of all the activity within your Teams tenant. A lot of people will start their day here. I tend to start my day within Teams and channels and checking notifications one by one. But if you're getting a lot of notifications or a lot of @mentions, you can go within your activity and you can see org-wide activity, almost like a Facebook feed. Or you can narrow that down through this drop down to My Activity. Let's see everything I've been involved with. Another way that I like to call this out is within the search bar. I mentioned at the top of the call that the search bar has a ton of capability. Let's just go ahead and type in marketing. I'm looking for a specific marketing presentation. And you'll see in this left-hand banner, the first option it gave me was messages. Well, it wasn't anytime I chatted with someone that used the word marketing that I was looking for. It wasn't people in the marketing department that I haven't defined in this tenant. It was a specific file. So I'm going to go underneath the Files tab. Now, I couldn't remember who shared it or where they stored it, but I do remember it's a PowerPoint presentation I'm looking for. So I'll go within Files. I will say I'm looking for a PowerPoint. And let's filter. Well, that's it. I was looking for the Q2 web marketing plan. So just through a couple clicks, in the olden days, AKA some people today still yet, right? If they're looking for a marketing plan and they know it's a PowerPoint, they're going to fire up a web browser, get to their intranet SharePoint site, navigate for the marketing team, click through the different files and folders and whatever structure that may persist within the marketing team, and try to find that marketing plan and make sure it's current, make sure it's got the current logos and the right layout that they want. Well, here, all I did was type in marketing, search for PowerPoint files, and it's pulling them directly to me. Again, I never had to leave Teams. Once I clicked on it, I'm in full edit mode here. So I can go ahead and create any changes that I want, any edits. I can, again, leave conversations, make sure my hard-working Nestor is aware that we need to update. Send it to him. Nestor's got a notification. We can close out, and my updates to the marketing plan have been made right from that search bar. Pretty cool. Another thing you may have noticed when I typed or when I clicked into the search bar is it said type / or @ for a list of commands. Well, you don't even have to know them off the top of your head. Just hit / and it's going to give you a list of some of the commands that are frequently used within Teams. And there's entire lists that are built out if you want to search through your Bing search engine to find all the different capabilities. The one I most frequently use, pretty simply, I'm going to lunch, / away. And I showed you at the top that I could click on my persona and navigate the menu, but I find that a little easier. And when I'm back, / available, hit enter, and it's changing your status. The other command would be an at. So let's say I want to add in some applications. I want to look at the weather. I want to look at the current stock prices. I can at stocks. Another thing I want to do, though, is Alan, my IT admin. I need to talk with him. And I actually don't talk with him that often. So instead of navigating and creating a new chat, I just typed it in here. My computer needs a reboot for whatever reason. I need permission from him. It's going to send. If I actually go look at chat, we'll see with Alan. It was his birthday an hour ago, and now I'm giving him some tasks. So happy birthday, Alan. Pretty cool features there. The last piece to show here is just going to be the final 3 dots that I'm going to click on for this demonstration. This is going to be the other applications that you can integrate into Teams. So I've shown a few of them. I've shown Power BI. I've shown some SharePoint intranet sites. Planner is a cool one. It's sort of project light. We use it a lot for our marketing team to deliver the full version of customer immersion experiences, which is about a 4-hour workshop. We track all of our delivery of kits and ordering of lunch and booking of plane tickets. It's all through Planner. But not just Microsoft products. You can pull in third-party applications in here. Just by clicking on more apps, you can search for the functionality or the field of the application that you're looking for and see if they natively support integration into Teams. So I highly encourage you to explore that. There's a lot of different things that you can do to make your life a little easier with building in third-party applications and different screens into those existing tabs. But hopefully you found this useful for a general overview of Teams. And I will make sure that within this video that you have my contact information. If you have any questions, please do make sure to reach out, and we'd be happy to talk you through how to use Teams to make your life a little easier. Thanks for joining.